Good morning. Welcome to the porch. I've got a neat story for you guys this morning concerning what I think may have been angels, but listen to this video all the way through, if you will, and then leave a comment at the end of it and tell me what you think, because after 30 years of the time that I experienced this, I'm still looking at this and trying to figure out just exactly what happened there. So you guys stay tuned and hear this story out. Oh yeah, if you get anything out of this, we're still looking for viewers and subscribers. So share this thing, subscribe, hit the like button. And above all, on this one, I'd like for you to comment. Seriously, I'd like for you to comment and tell me what you think this was that I had this experience with. Let me get started on the story. It's back, I guess in the probably might have been the early 90s. It's been about 30 plus years ago. So we were in business, my wife and kids and all of us, and we had offs and ons, good times and bad times in business. And we hadn't been in business for ourselves very long, but we were going through a really, really tough time financially. And we were just trying to live right. We hadn't been saved a long time, a few years. And we were going through some financial times that were just so hard that it was, you almost felt like a truck was parked on your chest sometimes. And this went on for weeks. And my wife was feeling it and I was feeling it. And I'm sure the kids at the very least sensed it. But anyway, we went to church one Sunday morning. It's hot summertime. I guess it must have been sometime in August, if memory serves me correctly. But we'd gone to church, had church, didn't really feel like being at church, didn't feel like being around people or anything else. And when church was over, we headed home and we had to hit interstate. Our house and our business was right on interstate there. And we had to go down the eastbound lane and go past our house and our business and get off about 2 miles down on the exit, then hit a service road and come back up to our house. Well, about the time we got even with her business, I seen this big old yellow Cadillac sitting on the interstate on the westbound side. And it was smoke rolling out from under the hood, and there was people milling around it, and they were black folks. And I say that with no prejudice. I'm just telling you the story. They were milling around it, and they looked pretty old. I mean, they looked like they were in trouble, especially in that hot weather. Well, I'll be honest with you, I didn't feel like helping anybody that day, but my heart wouldn't let me not help them. So I went down, got off the ramp there, and hit the service road and took one of the kids up to the house. And she said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "Well, I'm going to drive back down there and see if I can help them folks down there on interstate." Anyway, I headed down my driveway, which was, probably better than a quarter of a mile. And you could see interstate. My driveway lived up on a hill. And as I was headed back down the driveway, I seen these two old black women coming up the driveway. They had crossed that fence on the interstate and was headed up my driveway. Well, when I got to them, I just pulled over and rolled the window down. And one of them said, "We're having trouble out on the interstate there, and we were praying for help. And Lord told us to come up here to you as a man of God. You'd help us." And I just kind of smiled and I said, "Well, I don't know about the man of God part of it, but I will help you." Anyway, I got them in the truck there, and they still had a couple more of them out there in the car on the interstate. So we went back down on the on ramp, got on, went up there where the car was. Well, I get up there to the car, and there was a younger woman there. Now, the two women I picked up, I found out later, one was, I think, 79 years old, and the other one was 85 years old. So they were getting on up there in years. But I get down to the car, and more strangely than their age, the old gentleman's down there in the car still. He's 106 years old. And then there was a younger lady there, and she must have been about 35, 40 years old. But anyway, we got the old gentleman out of the car, and he was still pretty coherent, but he couldn't get around real good. But we got him in the pickup under the air conditioner. I just got them all loaded up. Said, well, I looked at their car first, and the whole top was blown out of the radiator. I mean, if it'd been something like just a simple leak in the radiator, I could have started there at my shop and got them on their way. But the whole top was blown off the thing. And so I knew it was going to be the next day before you get any help, because that was Sunday and there wasn't going to be anything open until Monday, which I was going to have to take that thing to a radiator shop, the radiator anyway. So I got these folks all loaded up, headed back down interstate there, and got off and took them to my house. Got them unloaded at the house, got them in under the air conditioner there, called a wrecker, had a wrecker come get their car and bring it to my shop so I could pull the radiator off of it. And it did all that, got the radiator off of it, got it ready to go. Then went up to the house. My wife said, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "Well, we're going to have to put them up for the night." I'll be honest with you, and I don't mean this in the wrong way at all, and I was totally wrong on what I'm about to say. But I didn't figure they had $20 between them from the looks of that old car and just looks of them. And I don't mean that in a bad way now. That's just what I was seeing. And I thought, these folks ain't got $20 between them. So I knew they didn't have, or at least thought they didn't have the money for a motel room or anything. And I told my wife, I said, "Well, we got that big extra room downstairs, got its own bathroom, got plenty of places to sleep." I said, "We'll just put them up for the night and I'll get that car fixed for them in the morning. We can get them on their way." So she said, "Well, you're going to have some bed clothes and we're going to have some groceries." And I said, "All right." So I said, "Let's get everybody settled in. We'll go down to Walmart's and get everything that we need." Now, you got to understand, we didn't have much money. And I'm telling you, we had payroll coming up. We had bills coming up. They were all due that coming Friday. This was on a Sunday, and I was sweating bullets. We just barely made our bills up till then, and now we're at the point we can't even make them. I mean, and there wasn't any money coming in. They're just all the jobs we had working were still a few weeks out being done where I could collect money on them. So we headed down the service road there, and my wife said, "You realize that once you buy blankets and groceries and everything, you're going to be broke." I said, "Yeah." And I said this not in a negative way at all. It's just factual to me. That's kind of the way my mind worked. I said, "Well, God knew. He knew it'd break me whenever he sent them my way." And I said, "He knew I'd give them everything I had. So that's just what we're going to do." And she said, "Okay." My wife's never argued with me about things like that. Matter of fact, she initiates those things every once in a while. We get down Walmart and get groceries and get blankets and everything, and we're broke. I mean, we're broke. Probably a few cents left to our name. And of course, I want to. When I'm broke or having trouble, I don't tell people. I just don't do that. I mean, it's a rare occasion that anybody will know that about me, and they have to be a really good friend, or they'll never know it. So we get back and we get everybody fed, get them all settled in for the night. They spend the night with us. Now there was 4 of them, 2 older women, a younger woman, and then the old fellow that was 106 years old. I often wonder, by the way, that 106-year-old, that number, does that mean anything to any of you guys? I can't get it put together, but I just kind of got a feeling somehow in my heart here that number 106 means something. You guys give me some feedback on that. So the next morning I get up and I run the radiator down to the radiator shop, tell the guy to fix it. And so he said, and I told him what the situation was. And he said, "Well, I'll have it for you somewhere around noon." I said, "Okay." And he knew me good, or he couldn't have done that. But he knew that I needed to get those folks back up and going so they could go home. Now, an interesting thing, take a little bit of sidetrack here, but they told me they had been to Tennessee to a big revival. And let me tell you, they were wired up. They were revivaled up when they got to my house. And that was fine. I needed that. But they were headed back to Oklahoma. I don't remember where they said, Tulsa or Oklahoma City, but anywhere, somewhere there in Oklahoma, they were headed back when their car broke down. And so I got the radiator down there, got the guy working on it. Got almost noon. I thought, well, I better go up to the house and eat a little bite. So I went up to the house from the shop, and which was normal for me because we lived right there by the shop or close to it, and go for to have lunch. And I'm sitting there, and Wanda and one of the older black ladies was in the kitchen fixing lunch for all of us. And the 85-year-old black lady, we were sitting there talking, and I hadn't told her a thing and wouldn't have no way in this world. As far as she was concerned, I thought, was that I probably had a lot of money because the house we were living in was pretty doggone nice, and we had our own business and great big giant shop. It looked from exterior, it looked like we probably were doing pretty good. But anyway, this black lady, and I wished I could remember her name. I'm not good at that, but she gets up out of her chair and she walks over to me and she pulls her blouse out like this and reaches down in her blouse, goes digging around, and I'm like, holy cow, what in the world is she doing? And I thought, Jiminy, Paul, you get yourself in more trouble than anybody I ever seen. She said, I got something for you. And I'm like, oh, no, you don't. I'm not trying to be ugly. That's just what went through my mind. It scared me. And she pulled out this wad of money, rolled up tight, a lot of money. And she handed it to me. And she said, this is for you. I said, no, ma'am, I'm not charging you guys for any of this. I'm just trying to help you. Oh, what came next ouched a little bit. She said in on me, she said something to the effect, you white people think you're so good, you don't think black people can help you. She said, but we can, and we're going to today. And I said, okay. I wasn't going to argue. She had a few more things to say to me, too. I felt like a red-headed stepchild sitting there getting ate out by his grandma or his mama. She finished eating on me and handed me that money and went back over and sat down. Of course, I thanked her and everything. Well, what I didn't know was in the kitchen, the other black lady was giving Wanda a handful of cash. Now, I'm not talking about a little bit of money either. I'm talking about a lot. I'm hundreds of dollars. And she went in there, and I didn't know any of this. So anyway, I didn't say anything to Wanda, and I went, got the radiator, got back on the car, got them all fixed up, full antifreeze and everything, got them on their way, thanked them, for helping us. And I'm talking to Wanda. I said, I want to show you something. I said, look here what that woman gave me. She looked at, she said, well, let me show you something. She had a lot of cash too. And I said, are you serious? She said, yeah, when she was in there helping me fix lunch, she handed me that. I said, I don't know what to think. Do you? And she said, I don't know. I said, I think this may have been one of them times when we were entertaining angels, baby. I said, it looks like it anyway. Anyway, they were gone, and I had another job that had just died on the vine, been dead for, well, it wasn't a job, it was a business deal I'd kind of gotten into that I was trying to get it to generate some money, and it had been sitting there for months, and it looked like it's just a bad deal. It didn't look like it was going to do anything but cost money. Well, that afternoon, that business deal, just all of a sudden, the guy called me and that thing went through. And there were several hundreds of dollars in that deal. And they brought me that guy brought me a handful of cash. So I'm sitting there, I broke that morning, and I'm sitting there with enough money to make my payroll, enough money to pay all my bills up to date. And it all happened within just a few hours. And I wonder about it sometimes. I guess in my heart, I couldn't leave those folks out there on that old hot interstate. It's just too dangerous, and I just wanted to help them, though it didn't feel like helping them. But I'm thinking, sometimes God knows our heart, and He expects us to do something before He does what He's going to do. If I hadn't went out there and picked those folks up and got them off interstate, none of this had ever happened. But I did. And within just a few hours, my whole financial thing changed. Now, looking at it from the natural standpoint, guys, I got to tell you something. I didn't see any way that come that Friday that I was going to be giving anybody anything but a bunch of apologies for me not doing what I'm supposed to do. But I did something for God, and then He blessed that. Now, that's the way I look at it. I want to hear your thoughts on that as well. But am I saying that if you're in any kind of trouble that God will send a yellow Cadillac? full of angels to help you out. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I don't think we can figure out how God's going to help us most of the time. If we could, we'd probably mess it up. But this, and by the way, this Cadillac, this wasn't no new Cadillac, guys. This was no, I'm saying probably mid 60s, early 70s, maybe. It was one of those big old long boats. Boats, what I meant to say. And it just wasn't a very good looking car. And of course, obviously, it wasn't a very good car. And those folks were a long ways from home. But to say this really quick, just to kind of get back on the summary of this story, I'm not telling you that God will send a Cadillac full of angels to help you. And I'm not even saying that He did me. But I got to be honest with you, I'm leaning toward that. And I guess probably the best thing that I could say to any of you, and I'm telling this story because I feel impressed to tell it. I feel like somebody's going to hear this story that's going through a hard time, and it'll help you. He said, I'll never leave you or I'll never forsake you. And if a Cadillac full of black angels is the way it takes to get it done, He'll get it done. Don't look for it to be that way, but do look for this. Look for a place that you can be obedient to God, even when you're uncomfortable about life. And He'll never fail you. He'll never leave you. He'll never forsake you. God is good. We here at the Porch love you. You guys have a good day.